YouTube, what is up, you guys? All right, we're back. I'm off the golf course for any of you that watched that silly last little video. That was just for fun, man. Hey, I want to thank all of you guys for subscribing, coming on, doing the thing, following this content. I got a bunch of cool stuff coming. Going out this weekend, headed to Minnesota, I believe, and we've got a gig vlog coming up on Monday. That's going to be a pretty consistent schedule, I think. Monday is going to be gig vlog day. Because I'm playing every weekend from now until like September or something. So a bunch more of that coming. But in between, I still want to do some of these OG sitting and talking videos. And today I've got maybe a little heavier topic. Something you guys maybe don't think about all the time. And kind of a slight warning to people new to this or coming down to Nashville or anywhere that you do this. And what is it? I want to talk about the thing that nobody's talking about in the music industry, in the entertainment industry. And it really kind of is the dark side of the industry, the thing no one talks about. And that is the mental health kind of aspect of this, in doing this. And that goes hand in hand with, I don't want to say like substance abuse, because I've never been around any people doing hard drugs or anything. I'm sure that goes on. That's just not the crowd I've ever ran with. I don't do any of that. But it really is the drinking. And I'm gonna get super honest with you guys on here and stuff, and just share some of like my experiences and some things to think about. And I want to hear your guys' stories below, because I bet a lot of you have some stories of this. When I first moved to Nashville, part of like doing this is going out, meeting people. You're meeting people at bars a lot of times. You're going to gigs. You have a beer, this and that. That's great, and I still do that. But when I first started traveling and playing in like a bar band, I think the thing people don't think about and no one talks about is that it's one of the few jobs. I'm sure there's other jobs, but the only job I've ever had where not only are you allowed to drink on the job, but sometimes it's almost encouraged or flat out given to you. And this is a path that I've seen a lot of players kind of get too deep into. And I know myself, I got too deep into it. So let me tell you a little bit of a story. When I was like maybe 24, I got my first like road gig, Broadway. But on the road, so I'm playing like you'd see a band playing on Broadway, but I'm out on the road. And I drank before that, but that gig, I remember the very first gig I ever played with them, and these guys are all my great buddies, but the very first gig I ever played with them, I was so nervous. I had to learn like 40 songs in 2 days. I'd never done this type of thing before. I was just like terrified. I met the guys that morning, drove down to Virginia, and had 2 nights in a row down there. So I was so nervous. And I remember before the gig, they all got beers and they took a shot, and they were like, "Hey man, do you want to take a shot?" And I was like, "No man, I'll drink after I play." But that was always the mindset I was in. I'd have a beer on stage sometimes in things past, like a beer for the whole set, But that was a time where I was nervous. Then I remember we took a break, and then I did take a shot. And I remember getting back up there being like, whoa, I wasn't really intoxicated, but even just one shot, I'm a small guy. I got up there and I was like, man, now I got to play still. And it did maybe loosen me up some or whatnot, but man, the path that kind of led down is really, I did that one weekend, then another weekend, then another weekend, then hundreds of gigs later with that same band, years and years later. I'm playing rowdy bars all the time. I'm having a beer at sound check. I'm drinking a beer right before we play. I'm taking a shot right before we get on stage. I get on stage. Then a lot of times in these bar band environments, the crowd's bringing you shots or they're bringing you drinks. So I'm taking 1 to a couple shots on stage during our set. I'm drinking multiple beers, and I used to tell people when I was in that gig that like I literally had to learn how to play like messed up, intoxicated, And that goes with smoking too, and not smoking cigarettes. Is like I was in that pattern because everybody around me was doing it where of course you take a shot right before the gig. Of course we'd smoke some right before the gig or on break in between the gig. And we take another shot and then people give you shots and then you're out till 3, 4 a.m. I've taken who knows how many shots. I've drank who knows how many stuff. You're out there trying to talk to girls or whatever, and it's I think as a young person and someone that maybe you're thinking about coming to Nashville and wanting to do this and stuff, it's at the time it was a lot of fun, and for the first few years I enjoyed it. But when I started getting towards the end of that gig, I was dealing really bad, the worst I had ever dealt with, just like mental health type of issues. I was consistently, intensely anxious all the time. I always felt bad. I didn't feel healthy at all. And I was out, and when you're young, that's so much fun, You're young and you're like, dude, take a shot. There's girls at the gig. It's exciting. But man, that's a trap that like you can fall into, and if you don't check yourself on that, you're gonna wake up 20 years later still doing that. Not healthy at all. And I just wanted to come on and like talk about that. Nobody talks about this. No one talks about it. And everybody that does this has had to deal with some form of it. And all the really pro people I meet have stayed away from that. Now, that doesn't mean not drinking at all, but man, drinking so much before the show, during the show, like it's so unhealthy. And I didn't know for like a year and a half, I was feeling so sick all the time. I was thinking I had problems. I was so anxious. And as soon as I quit doing that all the time, everything got better. Everything got better. And I'm going to talk about that some, but I want to kind of just come on here and like air this a little bit, because anybody that does this knows what I'm talking about. And the sad reality is I know a lot of great musicians, really good players, that are just functioning alcoholics. You go down to Broadway, you get your beer before set, you take a couple shots on stage because people are bringing you shots, and you do that 5 nights a week in town, and that adds up. That's a lot of drinking. It's so bad for you, and the mental health part of it and feeling terrible. It's like, yeah, it's just bad. And I just wanted to come on and kind of like share a little bit of my experience and hear your guys' experience and give a little warning word to anybody that's thinking about coming to Nashville and doing this is you will be around that. I do know also a lot of guys that have gotten deep in that and are now sober or sober on gigs, right? Don't drink anything during the gig. Everybody's got their own way they deal with it. How I changed my ways, honestly, was it's so much about who you're around influences you a lot. So if you're around everybody that's doing that, it's really easy to be like, this is completely normal. Of course I've taken like 18 shots this week and it's Friday, but that's normal. I mean, right? Everybody else is doing it. It feels normal. And when you're young, it's really easy for that to feel normal because it doesn't matter. Now, you guys might not think I'm that old or whatnot, but I'm 30 now. And at the time, I'm 24, 25, 26 when this is happening. And man, I decided to leave that gig with no gig lined up afterwards. And I loved doing that. But I really got to a point where I was like, dude, I'm going to wake up in 5 years and be playing the same bar to the same people, drinking the same amount, feeling terrible if I don't do something about this. And leaving that, even though those guys are still my great friends, they really are, was the best thing I ever did for my health, for my mental health. It took some time, but my career shot up years going forward after that. My mental health got so much better. My health in general got way better. So it's a really easy trap to fall into down here, and I just kind of gradually got into that. And all of a sudden I'm realizing like, oh, I'm sitting at home and I'd rather go out and drink and party with people on a night off or something, when just because that was like my baseline, you know? So I wanted to get kind of real with you guys on here and just talk about this a little bit, and hear maybe if you guys comment some of your experiences with this. And this is something you might not think about, and it's really, this video is extra for the new people, the young guys coming down, or girls coming down and thinking about doing this and stuff. Is you really got to make sure you're around the right crowd, and just keep this in the back of your mind, because man, it's a slippery slope, and I just know so many functioning alcoholics. I really do, man. Now don't get me wrong, I'm not sober. I still like to drink. With Lanco now, I'll have half a beer before we go on stage, and I bring that beer up there with me. Maybe I have one more beer during the gig if there's beers up there, but I'm not taking any shots before or during the gig, and seldom after. None of the guys in Lanco will take any shots. I'm the only one that will still take a shot. But man, compared to where my drinking used to be, and just constantly hungover every day and stuff, was just, man, it really wasn't good. It wasn't good. And I was playing music and it felt like I was living like the rock star dream, even though I'm just playing in these little bars. When you're new to it and you're young, that's so enticing. And it's hard to break out of. And I've watched a lot of guys not break out of it, and amazing musicians and haven't. But the way I kind of broke out of it, the main thing was separating myself from that environment a little bit. When I was playing on Broadway 5 days a week, I was playing in the morning. So I'd start at 10 a.m. and we'd play till 2 p.m. So if I did have a beer there, it'd be like, okay, not afternoon or something, you know. Now, did I do that every single time? No, but it was a big improvement from every night I'm playing 10 to midnight. It's a crazy, rowdy college crowd. Everybody's screaming. It's shots on shots on shots. You know, and dude, that's just so bad for you. And I feel so much better. I play better now because I'm not trying to play like intoxicated. Like, just a little bit of alcohol, right, might give you a little bit of confidence, loosen you up just a little bit. But, you know, it's the same reason you can't drive a car once you drink too much, right? Your motor skills are only going down. You're only going to play worse. And I noticed that sometimes I'd really rip it when I was, like, drunk on stage, but I wouldn't be doing anything new or trying. I'd just go back to the same pentatonic licks I've been ripping, the same boring stuff. And as soon as I stopped doing that, I really loved being sober playing, because I was using my mind. I was trying new things, interesting things. I'd practice something and take it onto the gig instead of just going back to the same stuff I've been hitting. You know, and it's just, I just wanted to come on here and kind of talk about that. No one talks about it. It really is the dark side of the industry, man. There's a lot of drinking involved, a lot of drinking. And now I'm super thankful I'm around a group of guys that, like, everybody will drink and have a beer and stuff. Everybody likes that, but nobody's getting just like blasted, especially during the show. Now, also now, the stakes are a lot higher. If I got up there drunk and couldn't play my part, I would not be in Lanco, right? The stakes are higher. There's more money involved. The crowds are bigger. There's more kind of potential things that can go wrong. I can't just mess up and we start the song over or whatever, you know. And that's never happened. And that's why I have to gig. But it's also way easier to do because I've surrounded myself and got really lucky, and I'm around people that that's not their mindset. Everybody's a father, everybody's a husband, and a committed husband. That's another factor too. And you know, there's just there is a dark side to this, especially playing in the bars where you're going out, it's four guys, there's no rules, there's no tour manager, nobody to keep you in check. It doesn't matter if you get blasted on the gig. It's so easy to just fall into that every day. I'm doing that every day. And I wanted to just share my experience a little bit. And ever since I quit that and quit doing that all the time, my everything got so much better. My career took off. It took some time. It's not like the next day it did. But over the course of that first year, I had bigger opportunities after leaving that than I ever had before. I was still drinking some on the gigs, but that led me to then now with the Landco guys, where it's a lot more responsible, a lot more adult. And that also kind of goes back to this core point that I've mentioned multiple times in this of who you surround yourself with is really important. And a lot of these guys are still my great friends, even if I don't play with them all the time. But, if you get down here and you start playing with a group and there's really heavy drinking involved, it can be hard to be the one guy that's maybe you don't want to be sober, but maybe you want to turn down a shot or something. That's hard. That's hard. Even when you're around people that are like, hey man, you do you, it's still hard. When everybody else is doing it, just being in that environment, at least for me, it's hard to turn down. And this also goes a little bit with the smoking thing, is I used to do that way more too. And it's like, okay, we drank all night, you woke up hungover. What's the first thing you do? Oh, smoke some. Before sound check, let's smoke some. Let's smoke some before we go get on stage. And I will say that doesn't impair your motor skills the same way. It's all a mind game there. If you get up and you're kind of out of it and you psych yourself out, you're not going to play good. There were times where I'd get up and I could really hone into the music on that, and I was playing good and coming up with new ideas. But it's all the same, living in an altered state, it's just not great for you. It's not great for you. And I got so lucky and am so grateful that I somehow got myself out of that. And it's not like I'm perfect now, you guys. I mean, if you watched my golf video yesterday, I was recording that video 2 beers in. I'm a small guy. I was feeling it some. But there I'm on the golf course. It's a day off. Yeah, it's not like I'm perfect and that I don't drink at all. Trust me. But I just wanted to come on and give you just a little bit of advice for something you might have not have thought about, especially the young guys coming down and thinking about doing this. Is I really want you to keep that in your mind. Watch out for it a little bit, and check yourself. If I did not have the wherewithal to check myself like that and say, I don't think I'm heading down a great path, who knows? I'd be doing the same thing today. I wouldn't be in Landco. I wouldn't have played with Hayden Kaufman. I wouldn't have been doing this YouTube thing. If you're smoking all the time, it's hard to get on here and talk to a camera. You weird yourself out. It's just, man, it's hard. And all of that affects your mental health, your mental state, how you're feeling. All that anxiety I was feeling all the time. As soon as I quit playing all these gigs where I'm drinking and always hungover and smoking every day, all of a sudden I start feeling way better. I'm not anxious all the time. I feel way better. I get a girlfriend. I can hold a great steady relationship. Those are just things that it's, if you told me then, it'd be so obvious, of course this will be better. But I just didn't know. And maybe that's part of getting older, but I have watched a lot of people that are older than me that have been doing this for 20 years and still do the same thing. And they're awesome musicians. But man, it's not good for you. So you guys, I know this is a little bit of a rambly thing, maybe a type of video you didn't expect, but that's part of this channel. I want to keep it super real, pull back the curtain for you guys, and this is a thing that nobody talks about. No one talks about. And I'm getting on here and telling you this is a big part of the industry. At any level, I'm very fortunate at Landco's level to be around guys that aren't going crazy all the time. Have we had some fun nights? Yeah, after the gig, after we get the bag, after it's good, But even then, it's not like it used to be for me, man. And the binges of, okay, we got 4 days out on the road, a week out on the road, and I'm just never sober the entire time between the smoking and drinking. It's just so bad for you. So I just wanted to come give a little warning. Talk about what no one talks about, because this is a part of it everywhere. And I want to use this time also to ask, like I've said a couple times, for you guys to write some comments about your experiences. I've got a lot of, per my demographic on here, a lot of people that are 45 plus. I think it's almost 50% of my demographic. So why don't you guys drop some comments to the younger cats in the comment section, Have you dealt with this? Where are you at in your journey on this? Have you had bad experiences on gigs? We've probably all been on a gig where someone gets way too drunk and they can't perform their job at all. As much as I did used to drink, I never got that bad. I never was where I was ruining the show, but I've been on the show or the drummer is ruining the show because he is way too intoxicated. Or even just we can't find the drummer afterwards. We can't even find him the next day because he went to some random girl's house and we have to leave to go to the next gig. I mean, it's just not professional, man. But sadly, it's viewed as professional or the norm in a lot of groups. And this really goes for also the bar band, playing in those bar bands. Especially if you're playing on Broadway at home, you probably didn't Uber down there. You probably drove. And I know a lot of really good musicians that drink a lot and then drive home. It's just, man, you're playing a dangerous game. It's a dangerous game, and no one talks about it. No one talks about it. So here I am, giving a little bit of my story, just a word to the wise, for you young guys coming down here. Just be careful. Look out on that. Look out for yourself. Because if you come down here and you've never done anything like that and you start playing, it is going to be fun, and it's hard to not slip into that. And it's even harder to recognize you have slipped into it and try and pull yourself out. And I am so grateful that somehow I did. My entire life is better because of that. My whole life, everything, every aspect. So I just want to come on here, rant a little bit about that, talk to you guys about the stuff that no one talks about. So, okay, let's lighten up the mood a little bit. I know it's kind of heavy. You guys, I got a ton of cool stuff coming. As I said at the beginning of the video, I'm going to continue with the gig vlogs. Check this out. I don't know if it's going to work. I got a GoPro, and I have a chest mount for it. I'm going to attempt to, use that to take you guys along for, sound check or something. It's not going to look very cool if I've got a GoPro mounted on my chest for the entire show. Maybe once we get into the fall and we're doing proper encores, when I come off, I throw that on real quick and then bring it back up. That could be a really cool video, but I am looking at upping my quality a little bit for you guys. I'm going to keep it the same Tim Avon production style where I'm just talking basic edits, long form. But if I could give you better visual and audio, the video looks better and the audio looks better, I think that's a win for all of us. Same type of content. Also, guys, we're coming up on 10K subscribers. I'm going to give away at least the lesson. In fact, now that I've thought about it, I think I might do a few lessons giveaway so a couple people can share in it. So that's at least going to happen. I need to figure out how to do a giveaway on YouTube, and if any of you guys have tips on that, shoot me a comment. But I'd love to give away something more. I just don't know what else I have right now. But we get to 100,000 subscribers, I will do some type of SE PRS giveaway or something. I don't know. Maybe then I'll have more pull and someone will want to partner with me. But hey, I can't thank you guys enough for hanging out on this channel. I'm loving doing this. I'm starting to meet other people. I just met Nicky V the other day. Awesome guy. Really cool guy. And that was a lot of fun getting coffee with him and just talking shop and talking the YouTube thing and the music thing. I really enjoy that. So Nicky, if you're watching that, shout out to Nicky. If you haven't seen Nicky V's channel and you like my channel, you'll like his. So check it out, Nicky V. And I think that's it, you guys. So I'm going to sign off here. If you liked it, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit the bell, right? Do all the things. And I think that's it. So until next time, peace.